Hello there, you awakening wonders. Welcome to Stay Free with Russell Brand, where deception and tyranny go to die because you kill them with your own awakening consciousness, where spirituality fuse with political discourse and suddenly there is hope. You see the old institutions quake, rattle and eventually roll like heads in a revolution, baby, for surely that is what's coming. We're going to be on YouTube for the first 15 minutes, then we will glide and elide over to the other place where we can speak more freely to our fantastic guest, Brianna Joy Grace, who's going to be talking to us about what's going on within the Democrat Party right now. What's happening to its patriarchs, forefathers, icons, and heroes. We'll be talking a little bit about the Obama-Tucker situation. We put a poll out, and I know you guys want to see it. We're going to be talking about increasing surveillance, the use of drones, again, being used for apparent security and safety, yet you know that this is about further authoritarianism and yet further control. We got your man there, Donald Trump's giving a pretty interesting speech. He seems to have altered his own position, and but perhaps positions alter over times. Let me know if you agree in the comments. You know, because obviously at the time, Gareth Roy, on-screen assistant, friend, Wonder Man, he at the time, Donald Trump was obviously pretty pro the vaccines, taking credit from numerous times, and I don't think a comment on the vaccine is necessary at this point. We'll leave that to you guys, especially if you press the red button and join us in our locals Awakened Wonder community. You can speak freely in there right now with Book Wench and Neon Grammarian and Claus. They're chatting away right now, even as we speak. Become part of that beautiful little community. You'll love it. So Trump's position now is non-compliance. This is actually interesting, given he's a man who's been indicted, wrongly or rightly. Let us know in the comments what you think, for his role in what's being called an insurrection. This is a real rallying call. This is a demand that people begin to disobey in the event of further lockdowns. But ask yourself this question, then answer it in your own mind. Do the whole conversation in your head if you want, then question yourself about whether or not you've been naive and really give yourself a hard time. Do you think it's ever possible that America can be united again after this? Do you think post-2024, whoever is in the White House that day, there can be true unity? And what patriotism can we offer when we see the people of Hawaii suffering in the way they are, offered insignificant, insufficient help, no real infrastructure there when called upon? I'm not saying your country is any worse than mine. We learned a comparable thing in a similar disaster, though not of that scale, when a tower block burned down, Grenfell. Lots of people died there. It was sort of demonstrably due to ineptitude, lack of safety measures, poor standards. And when the investigations began, they couldn't find anyone that was culpable. Your Hawaiian fires, I think, reveal similar things about deep state ineptitude. And of course, the prioritization. What do people care about? So when do you care about simply an ongoing, sustained war, admittedly, apparently, to help the Ukrainian people who warrant help? No one's arguing with that. Or do you want to see American citizens help, particularly when Hawaii, as many people believe, was a sort of a colonized place? You know, what do you want from Hawaii? Do you want Americans that you're going to look after, or do you want a mid-Pacific missile base and air force base? Let me know in the comments what you think motivates it, because I know what the Hawaiian people think right now. They think the help is not forthcoming. And to hear Donald Trump's rhetoric at this time, to hear former heroic presidents like Barack Obama subject to all manner of peculiar inquiry, and we'll be talking about that at some depth, because I'm of the personal opinion that people's private lives are sort of no one else's business, barring, real criminality. And I suppose drugs are a crime, although I'll tell you the truth, as a recovering drug addict, I don't think that's anybody else's business. But we're not going to talk about that on YouTube because of the restrictive guidelines. We'll talk about it sensibly, freely, over in the home of free speech in a minute. But let's have a look at Donald Trump there, demanding that you don't comply. Some of you don't think that lockdowns are a realistic possibility anyway. Certainly, though, after what's been revealed in Sweden, we should be cautious before kowtowing again, because Sweden, with their much more laissez-faire approach, had a lot better results than the United States. Just hands down better results than the United States, isn't it, Cal?
Half the excess deaths.
Half the excess deaths. How does that tally with the facts, with the lockdowns, with the masks, and with the parties of the powerful? Remember, they had those parties, right? You remember that? While you were locked down, they were boogieing on up. Let's see what Donald Trump's got to say on the potential future lockdowns. He's a man who don't hold back. Did he look interesting in front of this painting? Remember, join us, press the red button, join us, and give us a rumble if you're watching on Rumble, and give us a comment if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're in the UK, I'm doing a handful of live shows. There's a link in the description telling you how you can come and see me live, should such a thing interest you. Let's check out Donald Trump.
Lunatics are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdown.
Lunatics saying
and mandates with all of their sudden fear-mongering about the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming? An election. They want to restart the COVID hysteria.
You know what? And I'm going to ask Brianna Joy Gray about this, because Brianna, like, you know, she's close to Bernie. She's close to a lot of Democrat insiders. Do you sort of like, this is what I want to know, is like, here what Trump is able to do is he's able to diagnose and address problems that many American people believe are endemic. Oh, yeah, just because there's an election coming up, they're doing stuff. Oh, they're using this. You know, like, now, they have not been able to actually address the problem of Trump, yes, because of a lack of charismatic leadership, but above all else, because they can't say, listen, this isn't what we're like. We're not like that. They are like that. Yeah. That is the problem. You know, when you have that big pharma bill introduced,
that's exactly what I just thought then, Russ. Well, exactly. You know, when you say that the way that people respond to Trump versus the way that people see the Democrats at the moment, when you have Kamala Harris go and deliver a speech about how successful the Democrats have been, how historic this bill is, that we're, you know, bringing down Medicare, that we're allowing Medicare to negotiate prices, when you then find out that it's 10 drugs for seniors, it's actually probably more like 6 of the 10, that you're paying 1,000 times more as Americans than people in other countries for the same drugs. It's rubbish, and that's why people gravitate to Donald Trump.
And just on an interpersonal, social level, the way that Kamala Harris makes that announcement, she's sort of smiling, super pleased. She refers to Joe Biden as a hero. She's chuckling gleefully. I'd like to almost say this, like, from the most cynical perspective, if you were a Democrat Party insider, go, look, see this, that don't chime good. Like, see this, Donald Trump, that has an emotional resonance. Like, what Kamala Harris could have been saying is, look, we initially came out and said, well, you saw Joe Biden say, we beat Big Pharma this year. I'm afraid, because of presumably all of the lobbying, all the donation money, because of the complex relationships with people in Congress and pharmaceutical companies investing in firms they regulate, because the FDA accept money from the pharmaceutical companies that they are supposed to be regulating, what we've ended up with is not all drug prices capped, far from it. Even some pretty egregious examples of exploitation, certain cancer medications that can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars that could have a white label alternative introduced. We've not done none of that. We've not done that. What you're going to end up with, I'm afraid to tell you, is 6 to 10 drugs, as Gareth just said, as long as there's no generic competition and as long as they've been on the market 9 years. And it's only for seniors, and it don't kick in until 2026. I mean, that don't sound so good. Then this dude comes on the TV and said, there's an election coming, they're going to lock you down again, they're lunatics. You're like, well, hold on, this sounds more like reality to me. Yeah. This sounds more like reality. It feels more like reality to me. And you guys know, if you're a fan of our show, you know we do not think voting in the Republican Party, even under Trump, is going to make your life any better. There needs to be significant systemic change, more democracy, decentralization of power, stopping this globalist project immediately in all of its forms, and only a strong America can do that, allied to a strong UK, we pray. And these kind of polemicists, well-intentioned or not, whether you love them or hate them or not, the answer, because how many times you've been around the merry-go-round? If you're a Democrat-inclined person, you may remember, and listen, I hope it don't sound naive of me. You let me know in the comments if this sounds naive. When Barack Obama became president, I was happy. I thought, this is good for America. This is good for the world. To see that family of color, this is cool. This is cool. A country that's gone from slavery to having a president of color and say, oh my God, everything, this is good. But what happened? Drone strikes is what happened. More war. 2008 bailout. It created the conditions and crises that immediately followed it. No one's addressing that yet. What they give you is, here's a cadaverous version of Barack Obama. You know, the cool version that, you know, didn't work anyway. Here's a really old, decrepit version. A sepulchral creature emerging from the tomb to bring you more gloom and less democracy than ever. So they need to shape up, and shape up fast, I would say.
Yeah, I also think a lot of the kind of commentary as a result of what Trump's saying now is, you know, Trump's jumping on the bandwagon, he's done a U-turn on vaccines. He's now using this politically. I think if anyone has used COVID politically, it was the mainstream media or the legacy media. They are the ones who politicised COVID. And also when we're talking about vaccines, and again saying that Trump was a fan of his own vaccines and was very pro-vaccines.
Trump's a fan of his own everything.
Well,
he's got his name on his building, he's got his name on water bottles, he likes his stuff.
And so people may say, Democrats may say, he's done a U-turn on that, he's now using it against us. Who was using vaccines against Trump when they came out? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris.
I won't take it.
I won't take that vaccine.
That's what they all said.
So they've all been doing exactly the same thing that they're accusing Trump of doing.
The cluster bombs, everything, up is down. Everything's reversed according to convenience. These are things I want to talk to Brianna Joy about. Brianna Joy Gray, excuse me, because this is a person who understands the Democrat Party better than we do. We've got to start understanding this stuff, because bouncing between them two parties ain't doing nothing for nobody, is it? It's not helping us. And I think that there are crises that need to be addressed. Whether you see them as left-wing crises or right-wing crises, whatever your Weltanschauung, your perspective, shit's got to change. Forgive my language. Let's have a look at Donald Trump.
They can justify more lockdowns, more censorship, more illegal drop boxes, more mail-in ballots, and trillions of dollars in payoffs to their political allies heading into the 2024 election. Does that sound familiar? These are bad people. These are sick people we're dealing with. But to every COVID tyrant who wants to take away our freedom, hear these words: we will not comply. So don't even think about it. We will not shut down our schools. We will not accept your lockdowns. We will not abide by your mask mandates. And we will not tolerate your vaccine mandates. They rigged the 2020 election, and now they're trying to do the same thing all over again by rigging the most important election in the history of our country, the 2024 election, even if it means trying to bring back COVID. But they will fail, because we will not let it happen. When I'm back in the White House, I will use every available authority to cut federal funding to any school, college, airline, or public transportation system that imposes a mask mandate or a vaccine mandate. Thank you very much.
Oh, man. What do you imagine is going to have more resonance with the American people from across the spectrum? That kind of bombast and, is it hyperbole? Let me know in the comments. If you're watching us on YouTube, we're going to slip over to the other place in just a few seconds, because you voted in your droves, if our voting machines are correct and can be relied upon, for us to talk about Tucker's latest Obama revelations and interviews and the complexity around that story and conflating people's private behaviours with their character. We want to talk to you about how you feel about all of that stuff. And I say this is a man in recovery. Yep, let's have a look at that poll result. You said 20,000 of you voted, and it was 83% said yes. Now, contrast Trump's rhetoric just then to our man, Joe Biden, announcing yet another bloody I forgot that was on YouTube. Joe Biden announcing a potentially helpful new medical breakthrough that you've funded. Let's see the rest. Is this him talking about the new booster? Yeah,
new funding for a new vaccine. Yeah.
New funding, new vaccine. Same old Joe, and boy is he old. Have a look at this.
President, can you say anything about the uptick of COVID cases and the new variant?
Yes, I can. Matter of fact, I signed off this morning on a proposal we have to present to the Congress a request for additional funding for a new vaccine that is necessary, that works.
Well, the other ones, but I thought we're on YouTube, Joe. We're on YouTube, because sounds like what you're saying is that the other vaccine, they all, surely, geez, I'm going to have to do this for Joe Biden. Allegedly. That's just protect Joe Biden there.
He's in danger of getting a strike for that.
You could fall foul of the guidelines there, Biden. Don't you dare say... There's not enough allegedlys on our button box, is there, to handle this kind of chaos? So extraordinary. What do you think's going to be more resonant? That kind of hokey, folksy lying about the Hawaiian fires and his own one is the Hawaiian fires, his own fires, which are pretty minor.
Look, again, I think when you look at the speech that Trump just delivered, and you again say, why are people gravitating towards that? The Democrats at this point should be addressing, like with the Hawaii fires, yes, we send this amount of money to Ukraine and only this amount of money to Hawaii. Yes, we're giving this amount of money to the makers of these vaccines, even though they're guilty of all these things in the past, but that's just the way it is. The more and more they don't You know, give people the facts on this, that they're transparent and address the issues that people have, and then just go on the telly and say, yeah, we're putting more money into a new vaccine. People are going to have questions.
It's going to create cynicism. It's going to create doubt. Psychodram33 says, what are they going to do with this one? Give it to 10 mouses rather than 8? That might be a reference to the Moderna booster shot that I believe was only tested on 8 mouses.
Allegedly.
Just in case. Just in case we were incorrect, because we don't get a lot of latitude, baby. If you're one of our 6.5 million awakening wonders over there on YouTube, by God, we love you. By God, we're glad that you're with us on this journey to mutual awakening. In a moment, though, we're going to slink off into the clandestine spaces where free speech truly does reign free. In fact, let's get over there now, because I want to have a little conversation about this stuff. So click the link in your description, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, get over to the other place where we're going to talk freely about Tucker's latest interview, its connotations, and how do you frame the legacy of great leaders.